Hi there, and today I'm going to have a go at making my own lighting for my Lego models. So for the last 5 weeks, I've had a whole series of videos on building an upscaled version of the Lego Space Buggy. And that's of course this set, which was 886 from 1979 and only had 11 pieces. Now if you've joined my channel in the last 5 weeks, I thought I should let you know I don't just build upscaled Lego models, I build a whole wide variety of things, especially if it's got anything to do with minifigures. And if you were watching that series, you'll know that at the end I put out a vote to see what I should build next as an upscaled version. And the winner of course was this mini loader. Now this will indeed become a series of videos like the upscaled Space Buggy did, but the Space Buggy did take over a month's worth of planning before I started filming, so you've got to be a little bit patient while I plan out this set, especially how I'm going to do certain parts like the hinged bucket at the front. So until that series is ready to go, I'll be trying to upload once a week on a Friday as I normally do, and this week I'm going to be doing something I've been meaning to do for ages, and that is trying to make these Lego lampposts light up. But before we go, of course I'd like to thank all my subscribers, and especially my channel members. If you're a Big Fig subscriber or above, your name will be in the description below, and of course if you're a Mega Fig member, your name's on my little brick wall here. So thanks for all your support, it really helps the channel. Now these Lego lampposts are most commonly found on Lego modular buildings. And if you're unsure what Lego modular buildings are, it's a specific theme of highly detailed buildings. And Lego tend to release one a year, normally about Christmas time or New Year, and it started in 2007 with Cafe Corner. And as of January 2025, when Lego released the Tudor Corner pub, we now have a total of 20 modular buildings. Now I'm fortunate enough that I was already collecting Lego in 2007, so I've bought all the modular buildings as they've come out each year. For less fortunate people who've got into the hobby later on in the series, trying to get hold of the earlier ones like Cafe Corner can be a very expensive task, as some of the earlier buildings can now cost many hundreds and even sometimes thousands of pounds. Now I've always loved Lego lighting kits, whether it be these absolutely ancient ones from the 1950s, and you can see here this was set 245, it had one lighting brick inside it, and that was a 2x4, it had a really old filament bulb inside, and that's how you used to light up your bricks back then. Or a decade later you had sets like this, and these are light bricks here, and they've got a tiny filament bulb inside them, and then you put various coloured lenses or signs in front of them, and that was a 4.5 volt lighting kit. Or my absolute favourite, which was the 9 volt era, where you got a 9 volt battery box and sets like this, and when you press the on button you got lovely light up signs. And the really cool thing about the 9 volt era is that you could reverse the polarity of the lights, and if you unplugged it, if we turn these round and put them back on the other way around, instead of flashing alternately, they're both on continuously. And I used that flashing feature to my advantage when I made my own UK style railway level crossing lights. But Lego lights today are very bulky, and they're not conducive for lighting up thin elegant lampposts like this one that you find on modular buildings. And as I now have 20 modular buildings, I wanted to find a much better way to light these up. Now there are various lighting accessory companies which either make their own or pre-install lights inside the Lego lampposts. However, these become incredibly expensive. The Light My Bricks version of this lamppost costs £20 each, and that's not genuine Lego, it's a 3D printed pole with a light fixed inside. But even the more DIY versions, something like this can cost you between £6 to £10 on eBay with one light installed. Now the standard Lego lamppost is made up of 3 parts. First of all, you've got the base, and this you can get from Bricklink, even brand new, for as little as 11p. You've then got a clear minifigure head, which costs as little as 12p. And then finally you've got a small 1x1 dish piece, which goes on top, which costs about 1p. So brand new, the Lego parts can cost as little as 24p. And what I've done is found on eBay these absolutely minute LEDs, and there's a seller who pre-wires them and puts a resistor in line with them, so they can be powered by a USB outlet on a wall socket or a USB power pack. So I've got one out of the packet, and the packet cost me £6 and I get 5 LEDs for that, so that equates to £1.20 each. So this thick black part on one end is the piece of shrink wrap over the top of a resistor, and that helps the control the voltage so it doesn't blow the LED. And you might be wondering where on earth on this is the actual LED, and it is just here. And if I zoom it in on the camera, you can just about see that there is a teeny tiny LED there with a wire soldered to each side. And just to give you a little bit of perspective, here is my finger getting closer and closer until it touches the LED. So it is absolutely minute. Now back in my youth when I was 18, I did actually do an electronics A-level, so I do know a little bit about LEDs. However, I don't have the patience to solder minute wires onto even smaller LEDs. So I thought buying 5 of these for £6 was worthwhile. But the first problem we come to is that these lampposts, although they have a hole at this end and a hole at that end, it doesn't go all the way through. There is a blockage at some point in the middle. So the next thing I needed to do was get myself a tiny drill bit. And that's what I've bought here. I've got two 2mm drill bits, which I'm hoping are small enough to fit up the inside of this lamppost. And then the last thing remaining that I need is a handy power tool. So I've now got an incredibly powerful hand drill with an absolutely minute drill bit in the end of it. So as usual with my videos, this is not something I've done before. You're coming along for the ride with me. And I'm going to start drilling from the bottom because that's where the blockage is nearest to. I have no idea how much of this is solid and how much this is hollow. You can see a big hole at the top as well. We're going to start going up, see how far I get, and then maybe have to go in from the top as well. So failure number 1, I was going in at a slight angle and I've come out the side of the lamppost. So I need to go in a lot more straight. But you can see, is that actually gone all the way through? No, it hasn't. It's just letting in light. If I cover that up, the light's coming in the side. So I need to go in a lot more straighter. Mind you, I've got a whole bag of these, so it doesn't matter. I've got a few to waste. So give it a go with lamppost number 2. And this time I'm going to go for the opposite technique. I'm going to try going in from the top down and see how far that gets me. Hopefully, because the hole is deeper, it's going to keep the drill bit straighter, and then hopefully I won't go off center quite so badly. Oh, actually it doesn't actually go in that far at all, does it? Right, let's give it a go, see what happens. So I've got a lot of plastic out there. I'm going to see how deep the hole goes. It's looking pretty good down there. I don't know how well you can actually see that on the camera, but I'm going to keep going, see how far I can get. But I'm hoping by the plastic on the drill bit, it's evidence that I'm actually getting somewhere. So I've gone further in and more plastic is still coming out on the drill bit, so I must be getting somewhere. But the solid part in the middle is definitely longer than I expected. Now that time I turned the drill speed right down as the actual middle of the lamppost was starting to get quite warm and I was worried it might start melting. But I'm still getting an awful lot of plastic out and it's gone almost this deep, so it can't be that much further to go, I'm hoping, until I reach the other side. Now I've got as far as I can go. You can see the lamppost is touching the chuck of the drill there, so I can't go any deeper from this side. So the only option is now go up from the bottom. I may try pulling the drill bit out ever so slightly so I can go a little bit further from the top, but we'll see how it goes. So I did pull the drill bit out again ever so slightly, so I'm slightly further in. And now if I take it out, I will actually put it in reverse. You'll see, you can see it's actually all the way down to here, so there's not very far to go. Definitely can't see light at the end of the tunnel yet, but there can't be far to go. If I went up from the bottom now, hopefully I should meet in the middle without coming out the side of the lamppost as I did before. So this is starting to feel a little bit ridiculous. An absolute ton of plastic has now come out of the middle of this lamppost, as you can see from all the wastage on my desk. And measuring from the outside, I went the full depth from the top, so I'm down to this ridge here from the top. And from the bottom, if I put my thumb where I've gone into from the bottom and measure there, I'm up to here. So I reckon I've got about probably 5-6 millimeters to go between these 2 points. So just going to keep going in from the bottom and hopefully we'll meet in a few seconds. And I can now confirm that I am all the way in from both the top and the bottom. And this shot, I've got the lamppost right up against my camera lens. You can see all the way down. And if I pass something black behind, you can actually see, yes, I've definitely made it all the way through. There's some little bits of plastic left over inside. I'm going to try and poke them out with something else. But hopefully that's big enough to poke my cables down to get the LED in place. So I've poked the drill bit through again from both ends. And you can see if I move this around, you can see all those lovely Lego boxes on my display behind my desk. And if I wave this black battery pack behind, you can see, yes, definitely we've got a hole all the way through. So the next job is to try to thread this up and through. It's absolutely tiny, but if it gets stuck on any bits of plastic on the way, it may not work. So if we put that in the hole there and start feeding it, I'm hoping these wires are strong enough to push it through. Oh, Oh, that was relatively complete. Well, it's completely easy. That's popped out quite easily at the top there. So now we need to mount it in the glass minifig head, put the dish on top and connect it up to the USB. So I've left the LED poking out what I think is about half the height of a minifig head. If I zoom in, you can see just about the little tiny yellow panel, which is the LED itself, and the black and the red wires coming away from it. So what we want to do now is put the minifig head on top like that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much in the middle. And then we're going to put the dish piece on top of that. And then we're going to hook it up to the USB. Now on the eBay listing, these LEDs said they could be powered from anything between 5 volts and 15 volts. And I know that USB is 5 volts. So I've got this handy USB cable, which I used to use for some LED strip lights. And it comes to this power plug at the end. I've also got this piece here, which it plugs into, and that handily gives us then 2 terminals that we can just put the 2 wires into. Now on this plug at the end, you can see that there is a minus and a plus sign, and I know that the cable with the resistor on the end needs to go in the plus side. So if we get that one and pop it in the hole here, and then if I get a screwdriver and tighten that screw up, hopefully it'll hold on to that resistor nice and tightly, which it does. Then we just need to get the other cable, and hopefully if we touch that to the other terminal, our little lamppost will light up. Yay! Now, as you can see, the 2 cables that come out of the bottom of the LED are so thin, I'm really hoping that I'm going to be able to put them on the base plate and just let them be squashed down by the tiles. It's not going to actually make any difference in height to the tiled pavement outside my modular building. So we've brought back in our town hall where Minifig Jez seems to be loitering around for some reason today. And if we come over to this corner, what I'm going to do is remove our lamppost, and then there's a 1x2 and a 2x2 tile which sit next door to the lamppost. If I can get the second one off, like that. So now we've got a space here, and hopefully my cables can sit between here and run out without sort of disturbing those tiles at all. So here's our lamppost. I'm going to put those cables between those 2 studs there and push that down, and then they're actually going to end up sitting between the 2 tiles. So the 1x2 is going to sit in front of them, and if I hold those down and put the 2x2, it's probably even better. Yes, they sit there perfectly, and those tiles don't seem to be disturbed at all. And with this extreme close-up, you can see that the second tile is actually ever so slightly raised. It's hardly noticeable to the naked eye. It's only when you zoom in this much you can see it. So what I'm going to do is going to try and move them to the middle of the 2x2 and see if that makes any difference. So what I've got now is that the cables are coming out of the corner of the lamppost, going across the centre of that 2x2, and now hopefully if I put that down, yes, that's a lot more flush, and it doesn't raise up as much as it did when it was squashed between the 1x2 and the 2x2. That seems completely flat to me. And so we finally find out why Minifig Jez has been loitering around the town hall all day, and that seems to be because 2 of his friends are getting married. Also, while removing the original lamppost and replacing it with my new lit up one, I found out that the lamppost that was on this set was one of the older ones. If you see, this is one of the newer ones, and you can see it's got 4 distinct fluted edges around here, whereas the older ones have a total of 7, so they'd have more than 1 on each side. And the newer ones have quite a deep hole on the top, whereas the original ones have effectively what's just an open stud, so there's no depth there whatsoever, much more difficult to drill out. So if you're going to attempt this yourself, I highly recommend make sure you get one of the newer type with 4 flutes around the bottom instead of the ones with 7. And if I get that USB cable and plug it into that little block, hopefully there we have our lit up lamp. And a little bit anticlimactic because my mega bright filming lights are on, so let's try that again in slightly more darkness. So as you can see, it's a lot more gloomy now. It's obviously getting to be dusk at Minifig Jez's town, and if we plug them in now, yeah, much better effect. And if we do the same with the lights off, we get an even better effect. And I've just thrown inside a little set of battery powered Christmas lights, which I think cost me on eBay another £1.50, and that just gives us a little bit of a lighting inside to show us what we could achieve. So with the cost of the LED and the 3 Lego parts, even though it's been a little bit of work, I think the cost of this lamp at only £1.44 is well worth it, and it hasn't needed any specialist electronic knowledge. So I hope you've enjoyed this little experiment in DIY Lego lighting. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider becoming a member of either a minifig, a big fig or a mega fig, and your name could be on the wall for the next video. But if not, if you've liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up, and of course please subscribe for more Lego videos.